How you prepare your recorded tracks could be the difference between getting a killer mix and having your engineer secretly plotting revenge. And trust me, you don't want that. Today I'm talking all about how to prepare your recorded tracks for mixing so that your engineer won't just tolerate you, they'll love you. Be sure to stick around to the end because I have a free resource that will save you from a miserable post-production process. To start things off, I thought I'd share one of my nightmare experiences with you. A few years ago, I was hired to mix a single for a band that self-recorded. I was sent a folder with over 100 tracks, all labeled Audio-1, Audio-1.1, Audio-1.2, etc. When I imported the tracks into my DAW, every audio file started immediately. Some audio files were 2 to 3 second clips of a guitar riff or a vocal line, but every file was starting immediately as soon as you hit play. So nothing was lined up properly to play when it was supposed to in the song. Add to the mess the fact that the guitar tracks were all clipping and the vocals were recorded with heavy compression, leaving absolutely no headroom for me to apply any additional processing to them. It took several calls and countless hours to make sense of this disaster and get the session somewhat resembling something I could mix. Needless to say, I was pissed. I spent more time trying to make sense of what was sent to me than being creative, and it took me completely out of the creative mindset. By the time everything was sorted out, instead of being excited to work on the music, I just wanted to get the job over with. It was such a terrible experience that I actually refused to work with the band again unless it was properly prepared next time. What this all boils down to is that it took my focus away from what was most important, making the song sound as good as possible. Now, I don't want this to be you, so I'm going to give you all the details on how to prepare your tracks for mixing like a pro. Section 1 is all about cleaning up your recorded tracks. Now, I know you've probably put in a lot of work into your recordings, but before you send those off to the engineer, we need to clean them up so they're as pristine as possible. Number 1, you're going to want to remove background noise. Nothing will annoy your engineer more than unwanted background noise, whether it's hums, buzzes, or random static. So take the time to go through your tracks and eliminate any background noise. You can use noise reduction tools or simply cut out any quiet bits that might be causing distractions. This applies to everything from guitar amps to vocal recordings. Keep it clean. Number 2, you're going to want to trim unnecessary silence. If there's silence at the beginning or the end of your tracks that's not needed, trim it out. No one wants to go searching for where your actual performance begins or ends. If there's extra silence between sections of your song, just cut it. It makes everything so much easier for your engineer when they don't have to deal with unnecessary dead space. Number 3, eliminate unwanted sounds. If you've got weird noises like string rattles, mic bumps, or any other sounds that don't belong, get rid of them. While some minor imperfections can add character, anything distracting or non-musical needs to be eliminated. Number 4, check for clipping. Before exporting, check for clipping. This is especially important for tracks that are recorded at higher volumes. Clipping happens when the levels go past 0 dB and distort the audio. It's one of the biggest no-nos in recording. If you see any tracks peeking into the red, adjust the levels before moving forward. If your recorded audio is already clipping, you'll have to re-record that take. Number 5, consolidate takes. Finally, if you've done multiple takes, make sure to consolidate them into one clean, cohesive version. If you've comped your vocals or layered your guitars, consolidate all your takes into one track, rather than leaving a bunch of loose takes scattered in the session. This will save your engineer a ton of time. So moving on to Section 2, exporting your tracks. Now that your tracks are clean, it's time to export them properly. This is where things get tricky, so listen closely to avoid making your engineer's life harder. Number 1 is file format. When you export your tracks, use a lossless file format like WAV or AIFF. MP3s are a no-go. They're compressed and will lose quality. You want your engineer to have the full resolution audio to work with. Number 2, sample rate. Next, you want to make sure you export your tracks at the correct sample rate. 44.1 or 48 kilohertz is standard, but if you're working with high-end audio gear or have a specific request from your engineer, you might want to check with them first. Just make sure you're not exporting at a higher or lower rate by mistake, as this could mess with your track's quality. Number 3, avoid normalization. Normalization is when a file is automatically adjusted to its maximum volume. While this may seem like a good idea, it can cause problems during mixing. Always export your tracks at their original volume levels. Don't let your DAW automatically normalize them, because your engineer needs to have control over the levels themselves. Number 4, avoid final processing. Don't apply any final processing, EQ, or compression unless it's part of your intended sound. Remember, your engineer is there to shape your sound. If you've already added heavy processing, it might limit their ability to work. Export your tracks as clean, raw files and let your engineer work their magic. Number 5, tempo map. Another pro move is to include a tempo map with your tracks. If you have a song that changes tempo throughout, be sure to provide your engineer with a tempo map so they can adjust accordingly. You can do this by either including it in a note or embedding the tempo in a MIDI file. This will save them the time and keep everything synced up properly. Number 6, consolidate every track from zero. Before exporting, make sure every track starts from the very beginning of the session. Even if your guitar solo doesn't start until 3 minutes into the song, you want your exported guitar solo track to start at 0 and have silence on it until it comes in. By consolidating each track from 0, this will ensure everything lines up perfectly when it's imported into the session. Section 3. Label your tracks. This one is crucial. Imagine opening a session with 40 tracks, all called track 1, track 2, track 3. Yes, it's a nightmare. And like I said earlier in the episode, I've been there. So be clear and specific with your track labels. Number 1, name each track by instrument or part. Each track should be clearly labeled with the instrument or part it represents. For example, don't just label track guitar, label it rhythm guitar left, rhythm guitar right, lead guitar, or whatever fits the part. The more specific, the better. Number 2, number the tracks to maintain flow. You want to number the tracks in such a way that it maintains the flow of the session. For example, you can label the tracks 1, drums, kick, 2, drums, snare, top, 3, drums, snare, bottom, and so on. This will ensure when the engineer loads the tracks into their session that everything will import in the correct order. Number 3, avoid special characters. As tempting as it might be to get creative with your track names, avoid special characters like an asterisk, slash, question mark, etc. They can mess with the file path and cause issues when the engineer imports them into their session. Stick with basic letters and numbers for consistency. Section 4. Organize exported tracks. We're almost there. Just a couple more things to keep your tracks professional. Organizing your exported tracks is just as important as cleaning them up. And here's how to do it right. 1. Create a master folder. Start by creating a master folder for your song. The name of this folder should contain the band name, album title, and song title. Number 2. Subfolders by instrument. Within that master folder, create subfolders for each instrument or part. For example, one for guitars, one for drums, one for vocals, etc. This makes it easy for your engineer to quickly locate the files they need without searching through hundreds of tracks. Number 3. Group tracks within subfolders. Inside each subfolder, group related tracks together. So for example, you could put all the rhythm guitar tracks in their own folder, or all lead guitars in a folder. For vocals, you could group the scream vocals in one folder and clean vocals in another. This keeps things organized and streamlined. Number 4. Include a track sheet. Always include a track sheet with your exported files. This is a simple document that lists any relevant notes or can be used for mix suggestions. It's a lifesaver for the engineer, especially if there's anything specific they need to know about the track. Number 5. Send your files via a cloud link. Once everything is organized, it's time to send your files. Use a cloud service like Google Drive, Dropbox, or WeTransfer to send the files to your engineer. Number 6. Provide rough mixes and reference mixes. Finally, if you have a rough mix or a reference mix of the song, send that too. It'll help the engineer get a feel for the direction you're going in. Whether it's a mix from your home studio or just a guide track, it can be really helpful in giving the engineer some context. So there you have it, how to prepare your recorded tracks for mixing so your engineer doesn't hate you. By following these steps, you'll ensure your tracks are clean, organized, and ready to be mixed into the crushing metal masterpiece you know they can be. And hey, if you want a clear breakdown of everything I just covered today, I put together a new mix prep guide that is simple to follow and covers everything you need to make sure that you're sending your tracks like a total pro. Also, included in the guide is a link to template folders that you can use to organize your exported tracks exactly how I describe in today's episode. There'll be a link to the guide in the show notes and description for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave me a review wherever you're listening. And as always, keep rocking, keep writing, and keep making metal that slays. And don't forget to clean up those tracks before you hit send. Until next time, this is Dan, and I'll catch you on the next episode.